Hey everyone, I'm Crystal Jigrup, and this is Empowered by Women. In August of 2021, I launched Book of Bijou, which is a line of chic and innovative jewelry storage. And in January of 2022, we expanded into what you now see as the Empowered by Women platform. I really wanted to create a centralized space where we can really put emphasis on our mission of women empowerment and community over competition. It really truly does fill my cup to be surrounded by so many of you inspiring women, and the energy that you bring to me and our platform on a daily basis is unmatched. You really all do fuel me with so much motivation to continue doing what I'm doing, and for that, I thank you. Before we jump into the episode, please be sure to follow or subscribe to us wherever you are listening, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on your favorite podcast platform. And also don't forget to share your favorite episodes with your fellow female founders so that we can continue growing our platform and furthering our mission. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this next interview with another incredible woman in entrepreneurship that I know you guys are going to absolutely love. Today, we have the incredible Julie Butler. She is the owner of Julie C. Butler and host of the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast. She is a branding and systems coach and an Amazon best-selling author with over 15 years of experience owning and running a business. She helps female entrepreneurs design and create a beautiful brand identity and websites, hence a beautiful business, so that they can make more sales. And her mission is really to support these entrepreneurs in finding balance between business and living their lives through their online businesses. And she has created a business to help them achieve this with simplicity and ease. Even just saying that feels good. We all need that in our lives. Julie, thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me. I think it's funny because me and you were talking about simplifying our businesses before we hit the record button.
I know it's an ongoing process, right? You don't know exactly what you need or what works for you until you are actually doing it and going through the motions and like, okay, this is great. This, we need to like cut it out or simplify it. But again, thank you for being here. Obviously, I just welcomed you in and introduced you, but give us some more background into who you are and how that led into what you're doing today.
So thank you, Crystal, for having me. My name is Julie C. Butler, and I actually started my business almost like 20 years ago. That I started the entrepreneur journey, and it happened by accident because I wasn't born knowing I was going to become an entrepreneur. I wasn't like that kid that had a lemonade stand and stuff like that. I played in the woods and all that good stuff. So almost 19 years ago, I had my first son. And I started documenting his life with my camera. And I was like, I'm an artistic person. Like I'm an artist. So I was like diving into learning how to take better pictures. And then next thing you know, I'm like featured in wedding magazines and all of that good stuff and having like a 6-figure business. But I kind of like, when you do too much of what you're passionate about doing, and photography is that beast that it's one-on-one, right? Like you can only have one client at one time. So I kind of burnt out a little bit, and then network marketing came into my life. So I dabbled in that for actually quite a few years. 5-ish years, but then the artist in me was calling out again, like it was calling out to me. So I started photography again, photographing women entrepreneurs and doing personal brand photography. But after network marketing, I was like, you know what? I'm like, me too, I can have an online global business. And so that's kind of how my journey to having an online business started. And, discovering and over the last almost 10 years, discovering, and simplifying our businesses and creating systems and automations and having a business that also can work for you on autopilot while you're out living your life, right? Because that's what we all thrive for. We don't start a business so that we can sit at our computer 15 hours a day, right? Trying to figure out, how to set up a freebie or a lead magnet. We actually want to, set it and forget it. and work on the things that bring us joy. So if for you, if you're listening and you're a coach and you love, helping people, start their coaching business, or perhaps it's, helping them on their weight loss journey, or whatever that thing is for you, you want to do that. You don't want to work on all things like creating your website and syncing all the things and figuring out what tech you want to use in your business and all the things. But I am true and through a tech nerd. I love working on my website. I love that stuff. Like I could spend all day in Thrivecart if you let me, but we also have to sell. Anyway, long story short, that brings me to who I am today. And I love helping female entrepreneurs build and grow their businesses, creating systems and automations, growing their community so that they can fulfill their desires of working on the things that brings them joy, or spending time with their family, washing dishes, playing with the puppy dogs, whatever that looks like.
I love it. I love it. And I love your energy, first of all.
Oh,
Julie, before I get carried away, I forgot to ask you, where are you joining us from today?
I'm in Canada. I'm back in Ottawa. I was in Costa Rica for 11 months, and that just didn't work out for many reasons that we're not going to get into today, Crystal. But I am happy to be back. I'm in Ottawa, and it's beautiful, sunny outside, and I definitely miss this climate. That's for sure.
I love that. Okay. I'm glad that you gave me that little disclaimer and disclosure that we're not going to be going into it, because otherwise I would have definitely been prying into that portion of your life. But no worries.
Done it for an hour, Crystal, or more.
We do not need to dive into it, but let us dive into the whole tech that comes with having an online business, right? In recent conversations that I've had with communities that I'm part of, there's so many options out there, right? And there's all these things that'll help you like organize things, and all these different CRMs that you can use, and all these things that'll help you plan your content. How can we navigate just through like the busyness of what is available to us so we can know what will help us the most?
First of all, I want to start by saying, like, we don't have to have the biggest and fanciest tools to help us run our businesses. We can truly do it in the simplest of ways. And like if I look at like some entrepreneurs that are using like everything is like Kajabi and like Infusionsoft and these super complicated softwares that do all of these things. It's like, I'm the same way with appliances. Like when I buy an appliance, I'm like, the less bells and whistles, the better. Because first of all, less things to break, less things to learn about, and just keep it simple, right? And so I like to start by saying, like, some of us are starting our businesses, or some of us have been in business for 10 years, but we're kind of like, I don't want to say like getting with the program, but like kind of like getting on board of where we, how things are being done in 2023, almost 2024. Can you believe it? But the thing is that a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of us are simplifying our businesses and using tools that, like we were just having this conversation, like me and you, and I was like, oh my God, like you were using Google Meet instead of Zoom. How great is that? And I'm already paying for Google. Right. So maybe why not cancel Zoom and use Google Meets when it's a perfectly capable software? And a lot of people, like most people know what it is, or, like it's easy to, log into and everything. But I think that sometimes we try to complicate, or sometimes we may get overwhelmed by the thought of all the tools without knowing that it doesn't have to be that complicated. And, that's all. I'm also having a look at my business and looking in the areas where, okay, like where can I cut it? First of all, money, because all of that stuff adds up, like, between email service provider and Zoom and, Canva and all the things we use in our businesses. Some of them are non-negotiables, I think, but some of them we don't have to spend a lot of money on or have duplicate like softwares that do the same thing. Like I just decided a few weeks ago, I was using ClickUp, not to its full benefits. And I'm like, wow, like I'm just, no, it's $400 a year for what? Like I use it for a couple of things. So I'm actually moving everything back to Google, right? Like I don't think you can go wrong with Google. And I'm not saying like anything bad about that software specifically, just not for me at this time, right? But I think also looking at the cost of these systems and softwares and looking if there's an area where we can have like a lifetime license, right? So I know I could probably go on, but I know you probably want to add to that.
Yeah, no, I like you have said, we were just chatting before this, and it's all about like, I think we're in this ongoing process of like constantly like simplifying, right? What's making sense for us in this moment. And as you have been kind of condensing everything back to Google, I have been doing the same thing with my business, putting all of my calendars together. I don't know why it took me so long to sync all of my calendars, but as soon as I did that and I got rid of the paper planner even too, which I, used to love the past few years, I put everything on my Google Calendar now, and it has been game changing. And then I had even previously, I started investing in this other platform that was supposedly all of these things in once, right? And it sounded amazing, and it was all these like, and I had all these bells and whistles, and it was presented so beautifully, and I was like, that if I could have everything in one, sure. But then was I actually taking the time to learn all the things that it offered? I was not. So I was just spending all this money month over month. And I'm like, okay, I'm not even actually using this. And everything that I'm using in this moment now, I'm not even maximizing that. So why spend all of that extra money on something that I'm not even utilizing?
Mm-hmm. I know, I agree. Like it's the same with me. And some of these systems, like I think also having a look at our businesses and what we do in our businesses and how we help our clients, and do we need these fancy systems? Like I know a coach and she's like a multi-million-dollar earner like a year, and she doesn't even have a website. Now I'm not saying like her, it's okay if she doesn't have a website because she's built her business to this place where she doesn't need a website. However, she doesn't have a website, and her payment method, like how she takes payment, is a link from Stripe and a link from PayPal. This is how simple her business is. And her courses, half of them are in Facebook, a free Facebook group that she goes in live and she leaves the videos in there. And then that's what she sends someone. Like if you buy something of hers, she sends you the link to that Facebook group. Like how simple is that?
Hey, beautiful humans, really quick, did you know that hiring a virtual assistant saves people 14.7 hours per week on average? As our platform and my family continues to grow, I knew there was no way that I could keep doing it all alone. And I mean, who wants to anyway, right? So I finally made the leap to hire a VA, and it has been game changing. iWorker actually came recommended to me by a friend who also has a VA that she loves from there. And there's so much more to the agency that actually really drew me to them and made me feel comfortable taking that leap and making the commitments to bringing on a VA, which is a huge decision. Not only does iWorker ensure that their VAs are top tier, they're committed to hiring people from countries in crisis where the work that you're providing really does matter. iWorker was actually co-founded by a Venezuelan immigrant in response to the Venezuelan refugee crisis, which is why their mission is so profoundly rooted the way that it is. And most of their team, which is 65% women, which we love, they're able to support multiple family members thanks to the income that they're receiving from iWorker. My VA has been an absolute game changer, and she has a little one of her own, which makes me appreciate her work ethic even more and makes me feel really good that I did make the decision to go with iWorker. So if you are ready to start taking that busy work off of your plate so that you can focus on the work that really does matter in your business and in growing your business, head to iWorker. They'll take care of all the things: social media, video editing, graphic design, copywriting, you name it. Head to iWorker. It is going to be an affiliate link that's in the notes, but just know I do not take that lightly, okay? I only share things with you that I really do know and that I actually use and 100% will continue to support. So again, that link is in the show notes, but let's go ahead and get back to the episode.
That's amazing. I really love that. And I think it kind of brings light to the fact that we're often so caught up in all of this busy work, right? We're doing all these things on the back end, but how much effort are we putting into actually putting ourselves out there and growing our business and working with clients and offering the value that we can directly to them versus just like making things pretty and making sure we have all these systems in place. So you help people build businesses.
Mhm.
What can you say in terms of like how can they really communicate the value aside from having all of the bells and whistles on the back end?
Okay. So I think that, the important thing is that it's kind of a package deal, Crystal, right? And I get, like you just said it, like you nailed it, like me, because I'm a nerd with like spreadsheets and tech and websites, I can get caught up in working in the back end, but you have to make sure that you show up and make the sale, right? Like you want to make the sale, you want to talk about yourself, your story, your, like the hows that have gotten to you to where you are now. We're not going to get into all of that, but it's a full package deal, right? So, and truly the back end doesn't even matter. Like people don't care about what systems and softwares you're using, right? They care about how you can help them, right? And having, I think, an online presence that represents that, along with a website and the proper branding to go with it, the brand identity. And I always say, like, don't spend too much time on your logo and your colors and everything, because truly at the end of the day, people don't care about your logo and they probably won't remember it. Like, right? Like we remember Nike, we remember Lululemon because those are like premium brands and everything, but people don't come to us because of what our logo looks like or what our colors are, because they come to us because of who we are as a brand, right? And how we can help them. And so I think it's important that we show up in that space to serve them and share with them how we can help them. But it's also important to have a home base where they can go to learn more about you. That is, again, simple, right? We don't want to complicate our website with like all these fancy words and all these things. It has to be super clear about how you can help them and how you can make a difference in their lives, fix their problem, whatever that case might be. It has to be really clear. And it's important that, your platform and everything flows, because like how many times, Crystal, have you gone to someone's website and it's so unclear, or there's so much copy and you're like, yeah, no, we don't have time to read all of this copy. We're just busy. And the internet is so busy with everything. You can scroll for hours, you can go down rabbit holes on Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest. And so anyway, I don't know if that answered the question, but you start talking about one thing and then you kind of like, you add on and you jump onto the next kind of like wagon.
Yeah, but it totally makes sense, everything that you're saying. And I love that you mentioned that you don't have to use all these fancy words. You don't have to have a ton of copy. I've seen those websites that you're talking about, and it's very easily that we lose interest or that we kind of aren't able to find what we're looking for because it's buried in all of this stuff that they think, oh, this is what is needed to up CEO or SEO, or to get people to understand what it is that I'm doing because this is what AI came up with, or whatever the case may be. But let's talk about showing up and really being your brand, right? I think something that I've seen a lot lately in other conversations that I've had with women entrepreneurs is how they're showing up on socials and how that reflects back to, all the things that they built with their website or with all of that. So what is your take on being able to bring your brand identity through your social media presence? Like, what does that look like for you? Are you one of the types where it's like very rigid, you have your whole content planned out, you know exactly what you're doing it the same day every single week? What does that look like for you?
Okay, so first of all, there's no right or wrong. I think that, whatever feels aligned for you is what you should roll with, because I tried to do the content planning and the pillars and all that stuff, and it just didn't work for me. I was like, I just never followed it, or I didn't continue. And I'm still like, I'm still working every day to get better at showing up online, because I think it's needed now more than ever. People need to feel connected to you, and the way that they will feel connected to you is by you sharing who you are, and who you are, what you love, what you drink, and you choose what that looks like though, right? Like you don't have to share about, your children or whatever. You choose what that looks like. But I think that if we just stop for a moment and think about the people that we love following on social media, and what are those reasons, right? What are the reasons why we love following the people that we follow on social media? Because I love watching, my coach while she's making a loaf of bread, sharing some of the things that she's learned in her business and how she's shifted. Like that to me is awesome. Or a picture of her dog or whatever. Or, someone else that I love watching. I love it when she's like on her way to feed her farm animals and with her children and like, her pajamas, and sharing how she's helped, XYZ. Like those are the kinds of stories and the people that I am attracted and drawn to. And I think that it's social media and our presence online has changed. It's not the same as it was last year. It's not the same as it was a few years ago. And I think we need to give people a little bit more of ourselves now, in terms of, how we do things, who we are, and not so much about, I don't even think that it's about sharing with them how to do things anymore. Now it's about sharing how it happened to me and how I learned from it, right? Like I think it's more about, well, this is what I did and this is how I do it now, right? Versus, here's what you need in order to build a profitable, high converting lead magnet. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
care. I think people care more about how we got to where we are than just how to get there.
Yeah. I think it's more relatable, right? And people can actually see like, okay, this is a genuine story that's coming from you. It's not just, copy that you decided to write because you saw everyone else following the same template. And then that's what draws your community towards you, right? Because then it's like, okay, this girl is real. She's sharing what actually happened to her. She's sharing all the lessons that she's learned. And I think, being able to put yourself out there in that way, that is a part of how you can bring that simplicity and ease back into your business, right? Because you're not limiting yourself to how you're showing up and to what you are able to share on your content. Just like whatever you're feeling in that moment or whatever you're actually going through in your business at that time, being able to just hop on stories or whatever and share that, or make a quick post about like the event that you just did and how you felt through it, and putting all of that authentic emotion into your caption, that is what's going to help build your story and create the connections with your community.
Mm-hmm.
So
Vulnerable too. I think that being vulnerable and sharing our, I don't want to call them failures because I don't believe in them, but
yeah.
like for example, last week, like I totally screwed up. Like I recorded a whole masterclass. And then when the next day I was so excited, I was going to send out this pre-recorded masterclass, and I did it ahead of time. I was going to surprise everybody that registered. And when I started listening to it, because I needed to edit it a little bit, the sound was complete garbage.
Oh, no.
Yes. And I was like, oh my God. And then instead of just sitting down and re-recording the whole class, I was like, I spent about 4 hours trying to figure out how I could fix it. Was it fixable? Should I re-record the beginning and the end and take part of, another masterclass that I ever, anyways, long story short, that stuff happens to all of us, right? But share that. People want to know about that stuff.
People do want to know about that stuff. And that's the perfect segue into my next question, which is, what have been some of your biggest challenges and what did you do to overcome them?
So like stuff like that, right? Like
Yeah.
that. And sometimes we like frustrated in the moment and, use some cuss words and, and like, it's okay. Call a friend, vent, and all that stuff. And I couldn't believe, I'm like, oh my God, I could have just re-recorded this and it would have been the end of it. And I would have wasted a whole day, on doing nothing and, having gotten nothing done. But, and getting back to the whole Costa Rica thing, we've had a lot of challenges actually living there. And, I plowed through a lot of them at the beginning for the first 6 months. And then it kind of just like, I don't want to say that I crashed and burned because having done the work that I've done on myself, and having the right coaches, and the doing the work, like and mindset work and stuff like that, has helped me navigate through those times and being able to plow through. But that being said, having the business that I've created had helped me go through that, because I chose to like not work for like 2-3 months and just kind of like send emails, but I had offers that I could put out there, right? So I built my business in a way that, okay, like, it wasn't a good time in my life because there's stuff going on in Costa Rica and everything. And then we decided to move back. And so it was just overwhelming, the whole, all of it. And so, but definitely, I think that, here's the thing, we're going to fall on our face, but it's like, you just get back up and you keep on going. And, how can we look at like, okay, what have we learned from that? And recently I've learned, of myself, that I kind of used it as an excuse to not show up online. Right. Like, and sometimes we have goals and we have visions and places we want to be and go. And, I think now if that were to happen again, my mentality would be different. And I would be like, you know what, no matter what, like, I want this. How bad do you want your dreams to become reality? And what are you willing to go through? Right. Like, we're all going to have crappy days. We're all going to have, failed, like, and I don't even call them failed launches, like launches that 0 people sign up or 1 person signs up, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you are not better than anyone else. All of the pros, it happens to every single one of them. Like, I know for a fact that I know this coach, and she's a multimillionaire. She has failed launches because she talks about it. That's what I love about her, right? But she kept on going. She didn't let that derail her, right? And I do the same thing. So maybe I took that time and I didn't show up no matter what, but maybe I needed that, right? But moving forward now, I feel like now I'm regrounding. I'm falling in love with my business again. I'm like coming up with new offers. I'm like, I keep on going. And if there's been a pattern of the last kind of 20 years, because that's about how long I've been in business, that is the main thing, is I've never given up. I've always kept on going. Yes, I've had, pity parties and, all of that good stuff, but I've kept, like, my why was strong enough to keep me going.
I think that's such an important message that you just shared. And I mean, it happened to me recently as well. We had an event and, we didn't get a lot of signups, but I think those things do happen for a reason, because for one, it can give you a lot of clarity, right? On like, okay, why did it not come out the way that you hoped it would come out? Is it because you didn't put enough effort into it? And why did you not put enough effort into it? Maybe that's not something that actually lights you up, or maybe you don't have the resources that you needed at the time, or the timeline in place that you needed to make it a successful launch or event or whatever it is that you're hosting. I also don't use the word failure in my business or my life. Everything is a learning lesson. And there's so much that you can get out of all of the little things that you do, as long as you're giving yourself that time to reflect on it, right?
Yes.
And to recognize it's not something that you should take personally. It is literally, that is a part of business. That is what it takes. Also mentioned briefly your why, like how, like bringing this back to your why and bringing it, all of these things bring you back to loving what you're doing again. So I honestly, I was going to save this for after our recording, but I feel like just talking to you, I've gotten a lot of clarity in terms of like how I wanted to move forward in connection to what we were talking about before this. And I want to know more about like just you. What is your why? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, what is your big why, your inner mission? Like, what is the thing that lights you up?
Yes. So there's definitely shifts over time, right? Like it's never the same. But for me, a big part of it is my family and being able to provide for, like, my kids are teenagers. Like my oldest son has a job and he can buy things for himself. But like, it just makes me feel so good when I'm able to, like, so for example, he went to visit a friend in Michigan last week, and he, for some reason, he was coming from Detroit, and I don't know if you know the Detroit airport, but it has multiple terminals and whatever. Anyway, so he went to the wrong terminal, and anyway, he ended up going to his gate to the proper terminal, and he got there late, and they were already gone, and so he missed his flight, and so he called, and he was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna miss my flight. And I could have totally been pissed off and, start like, giving him, crap or whatever. But I was like, no, it doesn't matter. He's safe, and whatever. Like it's, I don't want to say it's just money, but like the fact that he was safe, and the fact that I was able to provide him with a brand new ticket, because his ticket was non-refundable and you couldn't make changes. And I ended up having to book him a hotel room at the airport, and a Westin, right? So like, yeah, let's just say it was like not a cheap mistake, but at the end of the day, like it made me feel so good that I was able to provide that for him, and be able to book him a new ticket and book him a hotel that was not $200 at night. It was at the airport and a Westin, but being able to do that for them, right? Like, and not having to worry about it. Or, like I have these goals and these dreams about, going to Africa and going on African safaris with my family, and being able to bring their girlfriends and whatever, or like when we're older and we have grandchildren and we want to, like, everybody, let's go to Disney and you pay for everything. But it goes a little bit further than that, because I want to be able to, like, I want to be able to say, like, to my sister or my siblings or whatever, or my, in-laws, and like, well, here's $1,000 or whatever, and be able, and not have that money worry, right? Like, be able to do these things and be able to, sometimes, like, we're inundated with social media posts and stuff like that, but sometimes there's sad stories that come across your feeds and whatever, and being able to help out in any way that you can, it just feels so good, right? Like, to be able to say, like, you know what, like, here's $1,000, like, or whatever, like, that also brings joy to me, and like that stuff. And but not just that, like, I mean, like, we are allowed to have whatever desires and dreams we want, right? Like, whatever that looks like for you. If that means, like, going out to the restaurant like 3 times a week, or going shopping whenever you want, and not having to worry about, like, oh, is there enough money in the bank account? Like that drives me, right? Being able to have that lifestyle of do whatever you want whenever you want, but being able to also help others and support, and support our kids. I have kids, so I want to be, and like freak, life's expensive now. So, like, God only knows when, in 5 or 10 years from now, when it's their turn to buy a house, if they'll even be able to, because of the cost of living, right? Like, being able to say, well, here's $50,000 and for a down payment, like, how good does that feel? Now, that's what that is and what that looks like for me. And I'm not like Crystal, I'm not a materialistic person. Like, I love nice things, but I'm not like, I don't dress fancy. I don't wear a lot of jewelry. I don't even wear a lot of makeup. I do like a nice bag, and I do like my Louis Vuitton has been on my wish list for a long time, but I don't need fancy shoes. And, if I had $1 million in my bank account, I would probably be wearing my hoodies and my leggings. Like, same, like, I would not be a different person because of those things. I would still be the same Julie. But it's just being able to, kind of like that's what the why looks like for me.
I think that is a beautiful message that you just shared. And I think it's something that is often, we need to remind people about, like, it's okay to have this desire for money, right? Because there are so many things that you can do with that money. It is not just this superficial, like, oh, I just want to be a millionaire just for the sake of being a millionaire. It's, I want to go and spend time with my family. I want to be able to take care of them when they do have instances like that in the airport, right? I want to be able to take them on the trip that they've been dreaming about. I want to be able to help this family that I saw in need of help. And it's not a superficial thing. So I know I've taken up a lot of your time already. to
I'm sure
close
we
this.
could go on, but Crystal, also it's allowed to want to spend
Yeah.
$20,000 on a summer vacation home and just spend the summer there with your family. Like that is also, we're allowed to want that, right? Like I follow Amanda Francis, and I'm sure maybe you do too, but she's like, been in summer homes all the summer, like renting these summer homes and like on the beach and stuff like that. I'm like, that I want.
I love that. I love that. I love how much you just like, you know who you are, and you love who you are, and you're fine sharing it. So for people that might be listening and to think, like, after hearing you say all those things of like, if I want to like help out a family and just give them $1,000, like I can be, I want to be able to do that. For people that are listening and they're like, wow, that's a pipe dream, right? I would never be able to do that, or like not with my tiny little business that I'm just running now, that I can't even imagine getting to that point where I have that financial freedom and that capacity to be able to help people the way that I want to help people. What advice or words of wisdom can you share with them?
All of them, everybody that you see online and everybody that you aspire to, like one day, first of all, allow yourself to dream the dreams that you want to dream, right? Because you can achieve them. Like where there's a will, there's a way, and you don't even have to know how to get there. You just have to know that you want that and allow yourself to want that. And I think that every single one of them that you see out there, like renting the vacation home for like months at a time, or the Hamptons or the wherever, Martha Vineyards or whatever, they all started at the beginning. They all started with zero money in their bank account. They all started where we may be right now, right? And they, brick by brick, day by day, little by little, they grew the business that they have now. And they've had their fair share of challenges. They're fallen on their faces, and they probably still do, right? But it's not an overnight thing. It takes time to get to where we are, and having the patience. And sometimes that's hard, but having the patience and to keep goingness, like that should be a word, right? Like even if something doesn't work the way you want it, keep going, try something else, and don't be afraid to try something else. I'm actually pivoting a little bit right now too in my business, and I think I've stayed in that stuck place for like a year of like, well, someone else does it and I don't know, and but when it really comes down to it, and if I listen to my heart and soul, it brings me fire, it brings me passion. And so I want to go full out and on this new thing that I'm going to create over the next couple of weeks. And I'm very excited about it. And it's a little bit of a shift in my business. And I'm like, you give yourself permission to go there, because that could be the thing that's going to propel you to that next level.
I love that. I love that. And I'm excited to see what it is that you're working on. And I'm excited for you. I love that. I love when I see women giving themselves the permission to step
Yeah.
into these things that are calling them, right?
Mhm.
That is so beautiful. And that's such a beautiful note to end this on. Julie, I could talk to you forever. I said this to a lot of people, but I really could talk to you forever. You
Attract the people who like are your ideal people, the people you vibe with. Like I'm the same way.
100%. So
Yeah.
where can our audience find you, Julie?
I think the easiest is just juliecbutler.com. And then, my social links are on there. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. That's kind of where I play. And yeah, so that's, the best place to go and find me, and then creep me on social media.
Amazing. All of those links will, of course, be on the show notes. Again, Julie, I have loved chatting with you. I really love your energy. Like I just feel it like exuding through the screen. I love everything that you've had to say. So thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
Another incredible interview with yet another inspiring woman in entrepreneurship. I hope you guys loved that episode just as much as I did. But before we leave off, if you yourself are also a woman entrepreneur, I would love for you to consider joining our Empowered by Women directory. We're looking for women-owned product and service-based businesses in the US to help us build the go-to place for our communities to find local women to shop with and connect with, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. All of the details can be found on www.empoweredbywomen.com/apply-directory. Of course, that's going to be linked in the show notes below, and you're also welcome to reach out to me anytime if you have any questions. But other than that, thank you again so much for joining us, and I will see you in the next episode.